I said I think that's creative license. I'm confident that's creative license. I don't.
Yeah,
just
that
okay.
is creative license.
Cool.
Okay.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Bible Geeks podcast. I'm Brian Sheely.
I'm Ryan Joy.
And today we're back with Season 2, Episode 4 of The Chosen here in our winter watch party, where Jesus asks one of the strangest questions in the Gospels. Do you want to be healed? And it's strange because the man he asks has been waiting for 38 years for healing.
Yeah, but in John's Gospel, Jesus often asks questions that aren't really meant to gather information. They're meant to expose our desire, to invite our decision, and to awaken our faith. And today, we're not answering Jesus' questions. We're letting them answer us. See what I did there? Okay, so this episode has, like we said, a powerful question from Jesus. We're going to talk a lot about questions. But first, I just wanted to do, kind of like we did a couple episodes ago, a Bible fact check here.
Oh, no.
We're working with some truths here, but also, there's the old creative license that the chosen creators like to use.
Okay.
So I'm going to throw some different things at you here, and you tell me if this is Bible fact or creative license.
Okay. Here we go.
All right. There was a pool in Jerusalem called Bethesda with 5 covered colonnades.
Oh, I believe that's true, although I don't know the details about 5. You're giving me like details here in the question.
Yeah, we got details, but you got it.
Okay,
It's
yes.
all
there
true.
Was
okay.
John 5, there was a pool. Yes, I'm good with that.
Okay. And sick and disabled people gathered there hoping for healing?
They did indeed, yes.
Okay. And Simon the Zealot had a brother who went there to be healed.
I think that's creative license.
Yes.
Okay.
We don't know. Both of these characters are in the Bible, but they're not.
I said I think that's creative license. I'm confident that's creative license. I don't.
Yeah.
That
is creative license. Okay.
Cool.
That guy that was there had been unable to walk for 38 years.
Okay. So I'm fairly confident that number was the same number. So 38 years, I think, is the right number.
That's right. So this is all John 5. John 5 verse 5 says that.
Okay.
And people believed the waters were stirred and brought healing.
Yes. Stirred by something. I think John says that it was the Spirit who stirred the waters. But yes, I think it was something stirred the waters and caused healing. Yes.
Yeah, there's a textual note on that we probably won't get into, but yeah, we'll keep moving on.
Okay.
And so the man there who was at the pool of Bethesda that Jesus healed, John says his name was Jesse.
That's not in the text.
That's not in the text.
That's fake.
No,
Okay.
that is also fake. And Jesus carried the man into the pool.
No.
That's not even in the episode.
That's not in the... Okay.
Jesus healed him without using the pool. Yep, absolutely.
Wait a second. What am I... What? No, okay. I'm with you.
Most importantly, Jesus asked him, do you want to be healed?
Duh. Yes, that was in the text for sure.
That is in the text, and that is in the episode. So, cool. Yeah. So the setting's biblical, the question is biblical, and the question is the key. And that's what we want to focus on in this episode, because what a strange thing, right? Do you want to be healed? Jesus doesn't ask, can I heal you? He doesn't ask, why are you here? He asks about his desire and will. And I'll just ask you right now, like, why do you think Jesus asks him, do you want to be healed?
That's such a good question. I think he wants people to confront the thing that's so obvious, but he wants them to wrestle with it. I feel like that's a no-brainer softball question, but his response could have been a lot of things that would have expressed his lack of trust or lack of faith or lack of interest in, having this conversation. It could have just been like, I really want food, or I really want money, or that would be nice, but I'll take whatever I can get. Like, there's there are so many responses he could have given that maybe would have expressed that he didn't believe that Jesus could do this. But the fact that the answer was, of course, yes, I do. Like, I feel like it's Jesus asking him a question that is putting him to the test in a way, but in a way that I think this man is easily going to be able to pass.
It's almost like the fact that the answer is so obvious makes it a heavier question.
Yeah, right. I agree with that.
Yeah, like, if you're at a doctor and, they're about to do a treatment or do a surgery or something and they're like, wait, before I do this, do you want me to do this? And you're like, well, yeah. I did until you asked. Why are you asking? I don't know. It just seems like Jesus is creating a moment of truth here. And he does this all the time, a lot with questions, with other things as well. You think about the rich young ruler and all these different moments where he creates this threshold for someone to walk through.
Yeah.
And I wonder if this is even related in some way to why God wants us to pray. Like, God knows, Jesus says in the Sermon on the Mount, God knows what we need before we ask him. Yeah. Why do we ask him? Well, when we make a request, it is us being involved in, there's an act of will involved, right? It's a choice that we are making. And,
can I even just go so far as to say that, like, so many of the miracles that take place involve the other party doing something to facilitate that, right? Like, some act of obedience, it's not just Jesus lobbing miracles at people so many times. They often have to put themselves into a position that he can do that, or, they have to go somewhere, or like whatever it is. So
roll away the stone.
Yeah, for this man to be like, there's nothing really you need to do, or like they need to have a conversation about it. So he's giving him agency in this. He's involving him in the process, maybe in a way. I don't know. I think there's a lot of reasons you could give, but it is so helpful to know that Jesus cares that this man, has buy-in about what's going to happen.
And in John's gospel, this isn't an isolated moment. Jesus asks questions like this that function, I would say, they're like mirrors, these questions. They're like soul-searching, revelatory moments where you see yourself more clearly, or you have to confront yourself and your own desires, or, to go to the prodigal son, you have to come to yourself and face, what do I really think here? What do I really want here? Do I want to be healed?
Right.
So I thought we could take a closer look at 4 different questions in the Gospel of John, including this one, where Jesus does this. And the first one goes back to right before our, was it our first or second episode of the season, whenever Andrew and then later Philip come to Jesus, and then later Nathaniel there in John chapter 1.
Yeah.
And this is in John 1:38, and the people are coming after him, Andrew and another disciple, and Jesus asks them, "What are you seeking?" And I think we've talked about this before. Like, what you could say it, what do you want?
Yeah.
Like, what do you want? And it could be taken as just like a surface level thing, like so many things in the Gospel of John. There's like layers to it.
Yeah.
Like, what can I do for you? He could have said, but which would have been profound in its own way. But he says, what are you seeking? And so it's about desire. And he asked this to these first disciples before their belief, before their commitment. He wanted them to think about what they want, right?
Yeah. Well, and, obviously their response is, as so many of the dialogues in John are, they're so confusing, right? Because he asked them, like, what are you looking for? What are you seeking? And they're like, they answer his question with another question, Rabbi, where are you staying? It's like, dude, you didn't answer my question. Right? Like, I want to know what you're looking for. And actually, in a way, their answer is an answer to his question. Like, they want to know where he is going to be so that they can be there too.
Yes.
And they use the word teacher, which the text actually literally, says rabbi, but but it parenthetically explains that means teacher. I feel like this is really them expressing, again, in a similar way, expressing that they, this simple question, do you want to find out more? Yeah, we want to find out more. We want to know who you are better than we do today. Like a real basic check-in, but necessary for a first interaction for people who are eventually going to be called to do some really heavy things with Jesus.
It's a really great point. Like that is the essence of discipleship is you're going to learn from him. You call him teacher, and then you're going to be with him. Right.
Yeah.
So where are you staying? And then he says to them, come and you will see. And those are the first two sentences of Jesus in the Gospel of John. What are you seeking? Come and you will see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the second question I pulled out was this one from that he asks this man at the pool about, do you want to be healed?
Yes.
Right. And yes. Am I ready for the transformation that's coming? This is his whole life. He's been sitting at this pool for who knows how long. And he's been unable to walk for 38 years. And he wants him to take some responsibility for this choice, right? He wants him to own, I want to be healed. And then Jesus is going to do it. And so that's a powerful, it's themed again around desire, but against will, around our decisiveness, our commitment to a yes. This is my request for you.
Sure.
And there's profound implications for all of these. And I'll talk about that. I have a little bit of a game for you later around this. Yeah. But the next one is in John 11 and verse 26. And this is when Lazarus has died and Jesus is coming and he goes to Martha. And as he gets there and he meets up with her, he tells her that he is the resurrection and the life. And he asks her, do you believe this? That's a pretty powerful question. Like she knows, she says yes. Do you believe it? And now I have to check. Do I believe this about Jesus, that he is the one? This isn't abstract theology here. This is personal allegiance. This is affecting my life. This is commitment. I believe this in this moment when I need you most. And so that's the third one. And then the fourth one is later on. This is with Philip, who we've seen now start playing into the Chosen episodes. And it's in that wonderful passage that, in my Father's house are many rooms, and I go to prepare a place for you, John 14. And in verse 9, when Philip is like, where are we going to go? How is this going to work out? Jesus says, do you still not know me? Don't you know that the Father's in me and I am in the Father? And, he is speaking to, I think, not just, don't you know the things I've taught, but don't you know who I am? And so in these four questions, you kind of see a discipleship progression that the book of John in order gives us. What do you want? Do you want to change? Do you want to be healed? Do you believe? And do you know me?
Do you know me? Yeah.
Yeah.
And they all have to do with a presence, right? They all have to do with really seeing Jesus in a very deep way, like what he's capable of, who he is, what his mission is, and I think for him to ask these questions to people who have been with him for so long, he knows that they're capable of answering the question, the deeper questions as you move on. Like the first one obviously is a little on the surface, but then you get into these deeper ones later on. And I think Jesus has a lot of expectation of his disciples that they should be out of level, and he's asking them to check themselves, which is, we need to be checking ourselves in these ways as well, like asking ourselves these kinds of questions about our following of Jesus.
Yeah. Well, it's funny that you should say that because
no.
that's where I want to take this next.
Okay.
Is to our discipleship and just our everyday life. Like this is what I think the Gospel of John, what Jesus is doing, but then what John is doing as the Son of Thunder sits down to write these things and capture all of these moments and as he said, if I told you everything Jesus did, there wouldn't be enough room, there wouldn't be enough books in the world.
Right.
But he's choosing selectively and designing an inspired document that can call us to Christ. And so these questions have power for our lives. So what I want to do is I'm going to give you a scenario, and then you tell me what question of these 4 you think we should be asking in that scenario.
Ooh.
What do we need to hear?
Okay.
And it's just a way, I hope, of helping these questions to start to sit with us at a deeper way.
All right.
Okay, first one. You've lived with bitterness or resentment for so long, it feels like part of your personality. What question of these 4 do I need to hear?
Do you want to be healed?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, no, I want to be right. I don't want to be healed. I want to be right. Or I want to know that I can hold on to this anger that has now become a comfort for me, right?
Yeah.
Rather than forgive. Yeah. Okay. Next one. You're discerning a big decision in your life, a job, a move, and you keep asking, what's the safest choice for me? What question should I be asking?
Oh, man. What's the safest choice?
Okay, let me give you a little bit more. You keep asking, what's the safest instead of what's the most faithful?
Yeah. Well, I want to say, do you know who I am? Or that seems like it could be a real connector there.
Yeah.
But it's also like, what do you want? Or, what are you seeking?
Yes.
Like that kind of, what is it that your goal is? I guess, to see Jesus as the one who is able to, push us into his will for us is one thing, but also, I guess, what is our will for us? Like, what do I really want? Maybe is the heart of that question in a deeper way.
I think that's it. That's what I was thinking of is, what are you seeking? Because, that's whenever I have had to make hard decisions, that is a place of, soul searching that you got to go to. If you're going to pray for wisdom and you're going to pray for the right thing to be done and for good things, and you want to make the right choice, well, the right choice based on what?
Yeah.
And so you have to start aligning yourself with what God wants. And that's the correct place for that question. What are you seeking to lead us to is, what am I seeking? What do I want? What is my will?
Right.
Well, if I can get to my will is for your will to be done. What do you want? What is the most faithful thing I can do here? That's what I want in this situation. How can I serve you? And so the alignment that comes from asking, what are you seeking? And the self-awareness, I think, is a key there.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. All right, question 3. I'm ready. Fire it away.
Question 3. You believe in Jesus and you believe in resurrection hope after this life, but you live as though this life is all that really matters. If you were really honest in the way you're making your choices and what you spend your time in and what you think about most, what question do you need to ask?
Well, I mean, do I believe this? Like, do I? I mean, that's pretty literally like the question I need to come to, right? Is like, do I actually believe? Because, that's the crux of it, right? Am I just mentally acknowledging something, or am I letting it change my will and what I actually want and the direction of my life? And, there's a lot we could say about faith without works and what we do when only, our mind is engaged, but our heart and our actions aren't as well. Like I think the question she was asked, Martha was asked there in John 11 was the one we need to be asking to.
Right. Maybe I'm a little on the nose with resurrection.
That was on the nose.
Hope.
I appreciate that. I didn't have to fight for that one.
But yeah, it's like, what do we really believe? Do you believe this?
Yeah.
Do you really believe this? Like, if you sit with that question, all of these questions speak to the power of a a question that you don't answer, you live with, right? We've talked about that before, the power of inquiry. So, yeah, what do you want? What are you seeking, really? Sit with that. What do you want to be healed? And do you believe this? Last one. Your prayer life has become functional and rushed. You serve faithfully, but you rarely rest in God's presence.
Well, I'm going to say it's probably the question that Philip was being asked at the end. Do you believe that I am in the Father and the Father is in me?
Yeah. Do you know me? Have you been with me all this time and you still don't know me?
Yeah. And that knowing there, of course, is so much deeper. And I think it does throw back to the original, like, what are you seeking kind of question. It's like, are you looking for a relationship with me? Are you looking for a connection to me in which I bring you to a new place of healing and wholeness and rest? All of that stuff there. And that is like the pro level move at the end of all of this. I think it's why, it's why Jesus is asking this question nearing the end to some people who should have been so much further along than they were. Yeah. And even in the chosen episodes, like we're going through, we start to see, some of the disciples are trusting Jesus more deeply and seeing him more deeply than others at every moment that we see them.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so before we wrap up, I just wanted to. I've allowed this whole thing to be about these questions because it was just, to me, so profound to think about.
It's great.
That do you want to be healed? But there's a lot of other cool stuff in this episode, and so it starts with like a almost 10-minute montage sequence about these two brothers, right? Jesse and Simon the Zealot, and Simon is like learning to be a Krav Maga master or something. And like, meanwhile, Jesse's going through all of this. And then you see the storyline with Shmuel in Jerusalem, this Pharisee who's teaching that opposes Jesus. There's the plot. There's this interesting like secret Roman police officer that's trying to thwart Simon. And so all these things are playing out. There's other storylines as well. So I wanted to see, what do you have other favorite moments here, or is there another storyline that you would want to draw out that stood out to you, and why?
Well, I feel like I sort of talked about it in the last episode, in the bottle episode where all the disciples are sitting around, and we didn't really meet him yet, but this is where we get to Simon the Zealot. We kind of pulled him in an episode early, talking about him, but I think here in this episode where we really start to see him and his involvement, and he's just so like, pardon the pun, but like he's so zealous, right? Like,
yes,
I love how he's very much like Peter in some ways, but even more so, like just real intense, really just pushing forward for something that he believes in, and it's why I think it's why I really enjoy listening to his story and watching his story, because he feels so much like the Apostle Paul to me. And we're not going to see Paul, here in these episodes in this season, but like Paul is so much like Simon the Zealot in my mind, just this idea that they're so dedicated to the Lord God, and they're protecting the faith and all of these things, and maybe just going too far in so many ways that they were doing. And like here, Simon the Zealot, we don't see a lot about his story in the Gospels themselves, but I appreciate his storyline here in this episode for sure.
Yeah, he is a really interesting character, and you have to think that even though we don't know much about him as a disciple, just that one detail that he was a zealot just lights the imagination with these kinds of storylines. And then I think for me, seeing Jesse dancing, like his feet dancing there at the end in front of his brother was a great moment. So
yeah, this was a good one. This had a lot of meat packed into one episode, and I would say, if I was giving my loaves and fishes score on this one, I would say this was probably a 4 for me. I like this one a lot.
It was good. Yeah, there was a lot. I'll go. I'm going to stick with my halves. I'm going to go 4.5 here.
Okay.
This was
saving yourself some room there. I got you.
Like there's some action there. Yeah. There was some heart. There was a lot. And, again, bringing it back to that powerful moment with the question, and then all of the things we were talking about here, just as a challenge, I would say for all of us to choose one of these questions from John's gospel, one of these 4 questions, and sit with it and pray with it. Like if Jesus were sitting across from you right now, which of these questions would be hardest to answer? And, what would he know, who knows your heart, ask you and have you sit with and have you work with? Do you know me? What are you seeking? Do you want to be healed or this idea? Do you believe? Do you believe all of this, really?
So good. Yeah. I love sitting with hard questions, and if we get nothing else out of this one, I'll be taking that one to heart for sure. So, thanks everybody for tuning in to the Bible Geeks podcast. You can find us on our website at BibleGeeks.fm. You guessed it, in the coming episodes, we're just going to keep rolling through the season here, season 2 of The Chosen. If you want to get ahead, catch up on these things, and follow along with us, we'd love for you to watch them, probably rewatch them, because I'm guessing everyone has already seen them already. So until next episode, may the Lord bless you and keep you.
Shalom.